Mute. Mute that. Time for some more reading. Reading in the closet. Chapter 22. Cut me pine branches, Robert Jordan said to Primitivo, and bring them quickly. I do not like the gun there, he said to Augustine. Why? Place it over there, Robert Jordan pointed, and later I will tell thee. Here, thus. Let me help thee. Here, he said, then squatted down. He looked out across the narrow oblong, noting the height of the rocks on either side. Oh, no sunburn? Not really. I got a little bit on my arms. I was out, went out for a jog today. Was out there for a while. Yeah, even with all the sunscreen I put on. But it's not bad. Almost done with this book. I'm really glad I figured out I could live stream to YouTube because I don't have to upload videos anymore. That was totally unnecessary. I can just add the stream to the playlist. Good night. It must be. He looked out across the narrow oblong. Noting the height of the rocks on either side. It must be farther, he said. Farther out. Good. Here. That will do until it can be done properly. There, put the stones there. Here is one. Put another there at the side. Leave room for the muzzle to swing. The stone must be farther to this side. Anselmo, get thee down to the cave and bring me an axe, quickly. Have you never had a proper emplacement for the gun? He said to Augustine. We always placed it here. Kashkin never said to put it there. Kashkin never said to put it there? No, the gun was brought after he left. Did no one bring it who knew how to use it? No, it was brought by porters. What a way to do things, Robert Jordan said. It was just given to you without instruction? Yes, as a gift might be given. One for us, and one for El Sordo. 4 men brought them. Anselmo guided them. It was a wonder they did not lose them with 4 men to cross the lines. I thought so too, Augustine said. I thought those who sent them meant for them to be lost. But Anselmo brought them well. You know how to handle it? Yes, I have experimented. I know. Pablo knows. Primitivo knows. So does Fernando. We have made a study of taking it apart and putting it together on the table in the cave. Once we had it apart and could not get it together for 2 days. Since then, we have not had it apart. Does it shoot now? Yes, but we do not let the gypsy nor others frig with it. You see? From there it was useless, he said. Look, those rocks, which should protect your flanks, give cover to those who will attack you. With such a gun you must seek a flatness over which to fire. Also you must take them sideways. See? Look now. All that is dominated. I see, said Augustine, but we have never fought in defense, except when our town was taken. At the train, there were soldiers with the machina. Then we will all learn together, Robert Jordan said. There are a few things to observe. Where is the gypsy who should be here? I do not know. Where is it possible for him to be? I do not know. Pablo had ridden out through the pass and turned once and ridden in a circle across the level space at the top. That was the field of fire for the automatic rifle. Now Robert Jordan watched him riding down the slope alongside the tracks the horse had left when he was ridden in. He disappeared in the trees, turning to the left. I hope he doesn't run right into cavalry, Robert Jordan thought. I'm afraid we'd have him right here in our laps. Primitivo brought the pine branches, and Robert Jordan stuck them through the snow into the unfrozen earth, arching them over the gun from either side. Bring more, he said. There must be cover for the 2 men who serve it. This is not good, but it will serve until the axe comes. Listen, he said. If you hear a plane, lie flat wherever thou art in the shadows of the rocks. I am here with the gun. Now, with the sun up and the warm wind blowing, it was pleasant on the side of the rocks where the sun shone. Four horses, Robert Jordan thought. The 2 women, and me, Anselmo, Primitivo, Fernando, Augustine. What the hell is the name of the other brother? That's 8, not counting the gypsy. Makes 9. Plus Pablo, gone with 1 horse, makes 10. Andres is his name, the other brother. Plus the other, Eladio, makes 10. That's not 1/2 a horse apiece. 3 men can hold this, and 4 can get away. 5 with Pablo, that's 2 left over. 3 with Eladio. Where the hell is he? God knows what will happen to Sordo today if they picked up the trail of those horses in the snow. That was tough, the snow stopping that way. But it melting today will even things up. But not for Sordo. I'm afraid it's too late to even it up for Sordo. If we can last through today and not have to fight, we can swing the whole show tomorrow with what we have. I know we can. Not well, maybe. Not as it should be, to be foolproof. Not as we have, not as we would have done, but using everybody we can swing it. If we don't have to fight today. God help us if we have to fight today. I don't know any place better to lay up in the meantime than this. If we move now, we only leave tracks. This is a good place, this is as good a place as any. If the worst gets to be the worst, there are 3 ways out of this place. There is the dark, then to come, and from wherever we are in these hills, I can reach and do the bridge at daylight. I don't know why I worried about it before. It seems easy enough now. I hope they get the planes up on time for once. I certainly hope that. Tomorrow is going to be a day with dust on the road. Well, today will be very interesting or very dull. Thank God we've got that cavalry mount out and away from here. I don't think even if they ride up here, they will go in the way those tracks are now. They'll think he stopped and circled, and they'll pick up Pablo's tracks. I wonder where the old swine will go. He'll probably leave tracks like an old bull elk spooking out of the country and work way up, and then when the snow melts, circle back below. That horse certainly did things for him. Of course, he may have just mucked off with him, too. Well, he should be able to take care of himself. He's been doing this a long time. I wouldn't trust him farther than you can throw Mount Everest, though. I suppose it's smarter to use these rocks and build a good blind for this gun than to make a proper emplacement for it. You'd be digging and get caught with your pants down if they came, or if the planes come. If they come, or if the planes come. She will hold this the way she is, as long as it is any use to hold it. And anyway, I can't stay to fight. I have to get out of here with that stuff, and I'm going to take Anselmo with me. Who would stay to cover us while we got away, if we have to fight here? Just then, while he was watching all of the country that was visible, he saw the gypsy coming through the rocks to the left. He was walking with a loose, high-hipped, sloppy swing. His carbine was slung on his back. His brown face was grinning, and he carried 2 big hares, one in each hand. He carried them by the legs, heads swinging. "Hola, Roberto," he called cheerfully. Robert Jordan put his hand to his mouth, and the gypsy looked startled. He slid over behind the rocks to where Robert Jordan was crouched beside the brush-shielded automatic rifle. He crouched down and laid the hares in the snow. Robert Jordan looked up at him. "You hijo de la gran puta," he said softly. "Where the obscenity have you been?" "I tracked them," the gypsy said. "I got them both. They had made love in the snow." "And thy post?" "It was not for long," the gypsy whispered. "What passes? Is there an alarm?" "There is cavalry out." "Adios," the gypsy said. "Hast thou seen them?" "There is one at the camp now," Robert Jordan said. "He came for breakfast." "I thought I heard a shot or something like one," the gypsy said. Obscenity in the milk. "Did he come through here?" "Here. Thy post." "Ay, mi madre," the gypsy said. "I am a poor, unlucky man. If thou wert not a gypsy, I would shoot thee." No, Roberto, don't say that. I am sorry. It was the hares. Before daylight, I heard the mail thumping in the snow. You cannot imagine what a debauch they were engaged in. I went toward the noise, and they were gone. I followed the tracks in the snow, and high up I found them together and slew them both. Feel the fatness of the two for this time of year. Think what the Pilar will do with those two. I am sorry, Roberto, as sorry as thee. Was the cavalryman killed? Yes. By thee? Yes. Que Tio, the gypsy said in open flattery, thou art a veritable phenomenon. Thy mother, Robert Jordan said. He could not help grinning at the gypsy. Take thy hares to camp and bring us up some breakfast. He put a hand out and felt of the hares that lay limp, long, heavy, thick-furred, big-footed, and long-eared in the snow, their round, dark eyes open. They are fat, he said. Fat, the gypsy said. There's a tub of lard on the ribs of each one. In my life have I never dreamed of such hares. Go then, Robert Jordan said, and come quickly with the breakfast, and bring to me the documentation of that requete. Ask Pilar for it. You are not angry with me, Roberto? Not angry. Disgusted that you should leave your post. Suppose it had been a troop of cavalry. Redios, the gypsy said. How reasonable are you? Listen to me. You cannot leave a post again like that. Never. I do not speak of shooting lightly. Of course not. And another thing, never would such an opportunity as the two hares present itself again, not in the life of one man. Anda, Robert Jordan said, and hurry back. The gypsy picked up the two hares and slipped back through the rocks, and Robert Jordan looked out across the flat opening and the slopes of the hills below. Two crows circled overhead, and then lit in a pine tree below. Another crow joined them, and Robert Jordan, watching them, thought, those are my sentinels. As long as those are quiet, there is no one coming through the trees. The gypsy, he thought, he is truly worthless. He has no political development, nor any discipline, and you could not rely on him for anything. But I need him for tomorrow. I have a use for him tomorrow. It's odd to see a gypsy in a war. They should be exempted like conscientious objectors, whereas the physically and mentally unfit, they are worthless. But conscientious objectors weren't exempted in this war. No one was exempted. It came one and all alike. It came to one and all alike. Well, it had come here now, to this lazy outfit. They had it now. Augustine and Primitivo came up with the brush, and Robert Jordan built a good blind for the automatic rifle, a blind that would conceal the gun from the air and that would look natural from the forest. He showed them where to place a man high in the rocks, to the right. Where he could see all the country below, and another where he could command the only stretch where the left wall might be climbed. Do not fire if you see anyone from there, Robert Jordan said. Roll a rock down as a warning, a small rock, and signaled to us with thy rifle thus. He lifted the rifle and held it over his head as though guarding it. Thus, for numbers, he lifted the rifle up and down. If they are dismounted, point thy rifle muzzle at the ground. Thus, do not fire from there until thou hearest the machina fire. Shoot at a man's knees when you shoot from that height. If you hear me whistle twice on this whistle, get down, keeping behind cover, and come to these rocks where the machina is. Primitivo raised the rifle. I understand, he said. It is very simple. Send first the small rock as a warning and indicate the direction and the number. See that you are not seen. Yes, Primitivo said. If I can throw a grenade? Not until the machina has spoken. It may be that cavalry will come searching for their comrade, and still not try to enter. They may follow the tracks of Pablo. We do not want combat if it can be avoided. Above all, that we should avoid it. Now get up there. Me voy, Primitivo said, and climbed up into the high rocks with his carbine. Thou, Augustine, Robert Jordan said, what do you know of the gun? Augustine squatted there, tall, black, stubbly jowled, with his sunken eyes and thin mouth and his big, work-worn hands. Pues, to load it, to aim it, to shoot it, nothing more. You must not fire until they are within 50 meters, and only when you are sure they will be coming into the pass which leads to the cave, Robert Jordan said. Yes, how far is that? That rock. If there is an officer, shoot him first. Then move the gun onto the others. Move very slowly. It takes little movement. I will teach Fernando to tap it. Hold it tight so that it does not jump, and sight carefully, and do not fire more than 6 shots at a time, if you can help it, for the fire of the gun jumps upward. At each time, fire at one man, and then move from him to another. At a man on a horse, shoot at his belly. Yes. One man should hold the tripod still so that the gun does not jump. Thus, he will load the gun for thee. And where will you be? I will be on the left, above, where I can see all, and I will cover thy left with this small machina. Here. If they should come, it would be possible to make a massacre. But you must not fire until they are that close. I believe that could make a massacre. Menuda matanza. But I hope they do not come. If it were not for that bridge, we could make a massacre here and get out. It would avail nothing. That would serve no purpose. The bridge is a part of a plan to win the war. This would be nothing. This would be an incident. A nothing. Que va? Nothing. Every fascist dead is a fascist less. Yes, but with this of the bridge we can take Segovia, the capital of a province. Think of that. It will be the first one we will take. Thou believest in this seriously, that we can take Segovia? Yes, it is possible, with the bridge blown correctly. I would like to have the massacre here and the bridge too. Thou hast much appetite, Robert Jordan told him. All this time he had been watching the crows. Now he saw one was watching something. The bird cawed and flew up. But other crow still stayed in the tree. Robert Jordan looked up toward Primitivo's place high in the rocks. He saw him watching out over the country below, but he made no signal. Robert Jordan leaned forward and worked the lock on the automatic rifle, saw the round in the chamber, and let the lock down. The crow was still there in the tree. The other circled wide over the snow and then settled again. In the sun and the warm wind, the snow, in the sun and the warm wind, the snow was falling from the laden branches of the pines. I have a massacre for thee for tomorrow morning, Robert Jordan said. It is necessary to exterminate the post at the sawmill. I am ready, Augustine said. Estoy listo. Also the post at the road mender's hut below the bridge. For the one or for the other, Augustine said, or for both. Not for both. It will be done at the same time, Robert Jordan said. Then for either one, Augustine said. Now for a long time have I wished for action in this war. Pablo has rotted us here with inaction. Anselmo came up with the axe. Do you wish more branches? He asked. To me it seems well hidden. Not branches, Robert Jordan said. 2 small trees that we can plant here and there to make it look more natural. There are not enough trees here for it to be truly natural. I will bring them. Cut them well back to the stump, so the stumps cannot be seen. Robert Jordan heard the axe sounding in the woods behind him. He looked up at Primitivo above the rocks, and he looked down at the pines across the clearing. The one crow was still there. Then he heard the first high, throbbing murmur of a plane coming. He looked up, saw it high and tiny and silver in the sun, seeming hardly to move in the high sky. They cannot see us, he said to Augustine, but it is well to keep them down. That is the second observation plane today. And those of yesterday? Augustine asked. They are like a bad dream now, Robert Jordan said. They must be at Segovia. The bad dream waits there to become a reality. The plane was out of sight now, over the mountains, but the sound of its motors still persisted. As Robert Jordan looked, he saw the crow fly up. He flew straight away through the trees without calling. Chapter 23. Get thee down. Chapter 23. Get thee down, Robert Jordan whispered to Augustine, and he turned his head and flicked his hand down, to Anselmo, who was coming through the gap with a pine tree, carrying it over his shoulder like a Christmas tree. He saw the old man drop his pine tree behind a rock, and then he was out of sight in the rocks, and Robert Jordan was looking ahead across the open space toward the timber. He saw nothing and heard nothing, but he could feel his heart pounding, and then he heard the clack of stone on stone, and the leaping, dropping clicks of a small rock falling. He turned his head to the right, and looking up, saw Primitivo's rifle raised and lowered 4 times horizontally. Then there was nothing more to see but the white stretch in front of him, with the circle of horse tracks and the timber beyond. Cavalry, he said softly to Augustine. Augustine looked at him, and his dark, sunken cheeks widened at their base as he grinned. Robert Jordan noticed he was sweating. He reached over and put his hand on his shoulder. His hand was still there as they saw the 4 horsemen ride out of the timber, and he felt the muscles in Augustine's back twitch under his hand. 1 horseman was ahead, and 3 rode behind. The one ahead was following the horse tracks. He looked down as he rode. The other 3 came behind him, fanned out through the timber. They were all watching carefully. Robert Jordan felt his heart beating against the snowy ground as he lay, his elbows spread wide, and watched them over the sights of the automatic rifle. The man who was leading rode along the trail to where Pablo had circled and stopped. The others rode up to him, and they all stopped. Robert Jordan saw them clearly over the blued steel barrel of the automatic rifle. He saw the faces of the men, the sabers hanging, the sweat-darkened flanks of the horses, and the cone-like slope of the khaki capes, and the navarrese slant of the khaki berets. Navarrese slant of the khaki berets. The leader turned his horse directly toward the opening in the rocks where the gun was placed, and Robert Jordan saw his young son and wind-darkened face, his close-set eyes, hawk nose, and the overlong, wedge-shaped chin. Sitting his horse there, the horse's chest toward Robert Jordan, the horse's head high, the butt of the light automatic rifle projecting forward from the scabbard. At the right of the saddle, the leader pointed toward the opening where the gun was. Robert Jordan sunk his elbows into the ground and looked along the barrel of the 4 riders stopped there in the snow. 3 of them had their automatic rifles out. 2 carried them across the pommels of their saddles. The other sat his horse with the rifle swung out to the right, the butt resting against his hip. You hardly ever see them at such range, he thought. Not along the barrel of one of these do you see them like this. Usually the rear sight is raised and they seem miniatures of men, and you have hell to make it carry it. And you have hell to make it carry up there, or they come running, flopping, running, and you beat a slope with fire, or bar a certain street, or keep it on the windows. Or far away you see them marching on a road. Only at the trains do you see them like this. Only then are they like now, and with 4 of these you can make them scatter. And with 4 of these you can make them scatter. Over the gun sights at this range, it makes them twice the size of men. Though, he thought, looking at the wedge of the front sight, placed now firm in the slot of the rear sight, the top of the wedge against the center of the leader's chest, a little to the right of the scarlet device that showed bright in the morning sun against the khaki cape. Though, he thought, thinking in Spanish now and pressing his fingers forward against the trigger guard to keep it away from where it would bring the quick, shocking, hurtling rush from the automatic fire. Though, he thought again, thou art dead now in thy youth. And thou, he thought, and thou, and thou. But let it not happen. Do not let it happen. Felt Augustine beside him start to cough, felt him hold it, choke, and swallow. Then as he looked along the oiled blue of the barrel out through the opening between the branches, his finger still pressed forward against the trigger guard, he saw the leader turn his horse and point into the timber where Pablo's trail led. 4 of them trotted into the timber, and Augustine said softly, Cabrones. Robert Jordan looked behind him at the rocks where Anselmo had dropped the tree. The gypsy, Raphael, was coming toward them through the rocks, carrying a pair of cloth saddlebags, his rifle slung on his back. Robert Jordan waved him down, and the gypsy ducked out of sight. We could have killed all 4, Augustine said quietly. He was still wet with sweat. Yes, Robert Jordan whispered, but with the firing, who knows what might have come. And then he heard the noise of another rock falling, and he looked around quickly, but both the gypsy and Anselmo were out of sight. He looked at his wristwatch, and then up to where Primitivo was raising and lowering his rifle in what seemed an infinity of short jerks. Pablo has 45 minutes start, Robert Jordan thought, and then he heard the noise of a body of cavalry coming. Pablo has 45 minutes start, Robert Jordan thought, and then he heard the noise of a body of cavalry coming. No te apures, he whispered to Augustine. Do not worry, they will pass as the others. They came into sight, trotting along the edge of the timber in columns of 2s, 20 mounted men, armed and uniformed as the others had been. Their sabers swinging, their carbines in their holsters, and then they went down into the timber as the others had. 2 Vase, Robert Jordan said to Augustine. Thou seest? There were many, Augustine said. These we would have to deal with if we had destroyed the others, Robert Jordan said very softly. His heart had quieted now, and his shirt felt wet on his chest from the melting snow. There was a hollow feeling in his chest. The sun was bright on the snow, and it was melting fast. He could see it hollowing away from the tree trunks and just ahead of the gun before his eyes. The snow surface was damp and lacily fragile as the heat of the sun melted the top, and the warmth of the earth breathed warmly up at the snow that lay upon it. Robert Jordan looked at Primitivo's post and saw him signal. Nothing, crossing his two hands, palms down. Anselmo's head showed above a rock, and Robert Jordan motioned him up. The old man slipped from rock to rock until he crept up and lay down flat beside the gun. Many, he said, many. I do not need the trees, Robert Jordan said to him. There is no need for further forestal improvement. Both Anselmo and Augustine grinned. This has stood scrutiny well, and it would be dangerous to plant trees now because those people will return and perhaps they are not stupid. He felt the need to talk that. He felt the need to talk that with him was the sign that there had just been much danger. He could always tell how bad it had been by the strength of the desire to talk that came after. It was a good blind, eh? He said. Good, said Augustine, to obscenity with all fascism good. We could have killed 4 of them, didst thou see? He said to Anselmo. I saw. Thou, Robert Jordan said to Anselmo, thou must go to the post of yesterday, or another good post of thy selection, to watch the road and report on all movement as of yesterday. Already we are late in that. Stay until dark, then come in, and we will send another. But the tracks that I will make. Go from below as soon as the snow is gone. The road will be muddied by the snow. Note if there has been much traffic of trucks, or if there are tank tracks in the softness on the road. That is all we can tell until you are there to observe. With your permission, the old man asked. Surely. With your permission, would it not be better for me to go into La Granja and inquire there what passed last night and arrange for one to observe today thus in the manner you have taught me? Such a one could report tonight, or better, I could go again to La Granja for the report. Have you no fear of encountering cavalry? Not when the snow is gone. Is there someone in La Granja capable of this? Yes. Of this, yes. It would be a woman. There are various women of trust in La Granja. I believe it, Augustine said. More, I know it, and several who serve for other purposes. You do not wish me to go? Let the old man go. You understand this gun, and the day is not over. I will go when the snow melts, Anselmo said, and the snow is melting fast. What think you of their chance of catching Pablo? Robert Jordan asked Augustine. Pablo is smart, Augustine said. Do men catch a wise stag without hounds? Sometimes, Robert Jordan said. Not Pablo, Augustine said. Clearly, he is only a garbage of what he once was, but it is not for nothing that he is alive and comfortable in these hills, and able to drink himself to death, while there are so many others that have died against a wall. Is he as smart as they say? He is much smarter. He has not seemed of great ability here. Como que no? If he were not of great ability, he would have died last night. It seems to me you do not understand politics, Ingles, nor guerrilla warfare. And politics and this other, the first thing, is to continue to exist. Look how he continued to exist last night, and the quality of dung he ate both from me and from the quantity of dung. Now that Pablo was back in the movements of the unit. Robert Jordan did not wish to talk against him, and as soon as he had uttered it, he regretted saying the thing about his ability. He knew himself how smart Pablo was. It was Pablo who had seen instantly all that was wrong with the orders for the destruction of the bridge. He had made the remark only from dislike, and he knew as he made it, it was wrong. It was part of the talking too much after a strain. So now he dropped the matter and said to Anselmo, "And to go into La Granja in daylight is not bad," the old man said. "I will not go with a military band." "Nor with a bell around his neck," Augustine said, "not carrying a banner." How will you go?" "Above and down through the forest." "But if they pick you up?" "I have papers." "So have we all, but thou must eat the wrong ones quickly." Anselmo shook his head and tapped the breast pocket of his smock. "How many times have I contemplated that?" he said, "and never did I like to swallow paper." "I have thought we should carry a little mustard on them all," Robert Jordan said. "In my left breast pocket I carry our papers, in my right the fascist papers. Thus one does not make a mistake in an emergency." It must have been bad enough when the leader of the first patrol of cavalry had pointed toward the entry, because they were all talking very much, too much, Robert Jordan thought. "But look, Roberto," Augustine said, "they say the government moves further to the right each day, that in the Republic they no longer can say comrade, but senor and senora. Canst shift thy pockets?" "When it moves far enough to the right, I will carry them in my hip pocket," Robert Jordan said, "and sew it in the center." "If they should stay in thy shirt," Augustine said, "are we to win this war and lose the revolution?" "Nay," Robert Jordan said, "but if we do not win this war, there will be no revolution, nor any republic, nor any thou, nor any me, nor anything but the most grand carajo." "So say I," Anselmo said, "that we should win this war, that we should win the war, and afterwards shoot the anarchists and the communists and all this canalla except the good Republicans," Augustine said. "That we should win this war and shoot nobody," Anselmo said. "That we should govern justly, and that all should participate in the benefits according as they have striven for them, and that those who have fought against us should be educated to see their error." "We will have to shoot many," Augustine said. "Many, many, many." He thumped his closed right fist against the palm of his left hand. "That we should shoot none, not even the leaders, that they should be reformed by work." "I know the work I'd put them at," Augustine said, and he picked up some snow and put it in his mouth. "What bad one?" Robert Jordan asked. "Two trades of the utmost brilliance." "They are." Augustine put some more snow in his mouth and looked across the clearing where the cavalry had ridden. Then he spat the melted snow out. "Vaya, what a breakfast," he said. "Where is the filthy gypsy?" "What trades?" Robert Jordan asked him. "Speak, bad mouth." "Jumping from planes without parachutes," Augustine said, and his eyes shone. "That for those that we care for. And being nailed to the tops of fence posts to be pushed over backwards for the others." That way of speaking is ignoble, Anselmo said. Thus we will never have a republic. I would like to swim 10 leagues in a strong soup made from the cojones of all of them, Augustine said. And when I saw those four there and thought that we might kill them, I was like a mare in the corral, waiting for the stallion. You know why we did not kill them, though, Robert Jordan said quietly. Yes, Augustine said. Yes, because the necessity was on me as it is on a mare in heat. You cannot know what it is you have not felt it, if you have not felt it. You sweated enough, Robert Jordan said. I thought it was fear. Fear, yes, Augustine said. Fear and the other. And in this life there is no stranger thing than the other. Yes, Robert Jordan thought. We do it coldly, but they do not, nor ever have. It is their extra sacrament. Their old one that they had before the new religion came from the far end of the Mediterranean, the one they have never abandoned, but only suppressed and hidden to bring it out again in wars and inquisitions. They are the people of the auto de fe, the act of faith. Killing is something one must do, but ours are different from theirs. And you, he thought, you have never been corrupted by it. You have never been corrupted by it? You never had it in the Sierra, nor at Uzera, nor through all the time in the Estremadura, nor at any time? Que va, he told himself, at every train. Stop making dubious literature about the Berbers and the old Iberians, and admit that you have liked to kill, as all who are soldiers by choice have enjoyed it at some time, whether they lie about it or not. Anselmo does not like to because he is a hunter, not a soldier. Don't idealize him either. Hunters kill animals, and soldiers kill men. Don't lie to yourself, he thought, nor make up literature about it. You have been tainted with it for a long time now. And do not think against Anselmo either. He is a Christian, something very rare in Catholic countries. But with Augustine, I had thought it was fear, he thought. That natural fear before action. So it was the other, too. Of course, he may be bragging now. There was plenty of fear. I felt the fear under my hand. Well, it was time to stop talking. See if the gypsy brought food, he said to Anselmo. Do not let him come up. He is a fool. Bring it yourself. And however much he brought, send him back for more. I am hungry. Chapter 24.